It's your boy Shamel, Polygraph 513 Boxing. Yeah, you know how I give it up. So, Pete, man, I just been chilling, thinking. There's some stuff going on with Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, Tank Davis. You can throw T.O. Loma and George Kambosos in there as well. But ever since Devin beat Lomachenko, I feel like there's been a lot of different, the vibes have been weird. You feel me? Like, people been odd. And if you stick around the boxing community long enough, one of the things that you learn is that hypocrisy is the order of the day. You stick around long enough, you start picking fights long enough, you start having conversations with people long enough, you start to see that it's a pattern that happens in the sport. There's a young, hungry fighter who is underrated, beating up a lot of guys, not getting the love he deserved on a national scale for his talent, even though he had amateur success and all this, coming by whooping guys. So now he develops a core following of people who were supported early on. And then once you get into contender stage, something starts to happen to some of these guys. They become stars. Start making millions of dollars when they, just maybe been a champion one or two fights, or start making millions of dollars even before they become champions, some of them. Fighting for the championship, making them, you know what I mean? Just like haven't put no work in. And then they could become social media stars. And then it's really out of there from there. Once they get the jewelry and the clothes and the hoes and all that stuff right, the cars and the fame, then these core fans expand into casual fans. And see, the casual fans like the flossing and the glossing. The casual fans like the look of success. And the core fans like the actual success. So they meet at a perfect time that they start to influence each other, and it's hard to tell who's who because the early fans wanted more fans at this time. You know what I mean? They wanted more supporters. Now they got it, and now they're exchanging ideas, and somehow it becomes a cyclical conversation surrounding the greatness and the infallibility of a certain fighter. And then they start to get protected. Then the fans, because they're making a certain call, they're saying this guy's a certain status of a fighter. Now they want to prove, they want to show, because Floyd Mayweather has set the expectation for the modern generation that you can't lose and still be great. Even though Canelo has dispelled that, and Jermell Charlo has dispelled that. But whatever. Even though I can go on and on through history. on and on through history. So this psychological manipulation. Shout out to 10 players. I've really been digging deep into the psychology of sports, really the psychology of humanity. And sports is one of the best ways to study the psychology of humanity. Because when you start to study play and this human function, and actually it's an animalistic function. Almost all animals play, right? Like lions play, they fight as cubs, and they're practicing for real combat. You know what I mean? But in lieu of real combat, those are the real fighters. But like in lieu of real combat, humans replace this need, this desire, this form of expression in the codified games. And sometimes it's war games. It's always conflict and combat. Just some are more combat than others. You know what I mean? Like football's combat. You mean just with a certain set of rules and style in which it's expected to be played. A form of war, you know what I mean? Like it was developed at the military academies. Football, a lot of people don't know that. Football was developed, it's a military game, which is why there's that element of what this so-called toxic masculinity. I don't think it's toxic. If that's the case, then I'm toxically masculine. I say it all the time. But in reality, that's why you get this. There's such a similarity and a demand of structure and order and leadership, and there's kind of demand because combat requires clarity of vision, clarity of goal, clarity of purpose, soundness of mind. And it's with this influx of adrenaline and other chemicals and hormones that happen as you prepare for combat or in combat and post-combat can only be generated in those circumstances. You can't get the combat feel without being in combat. Even the anxiety that we feel, just a way more mild form. You know, it's like the over-the-cabinet Benadryl versus the Benadryl you get at the hospital. You know what I mean? Like, it hit different, you know. What was I talking about? I went on the rabbit trail. Yeah. So guys become young stars. Now they're getting protected. And now the young fighter who was being pushed and egged on and believed that he was great by the own psychological work that was being done by his trainer and his fans and supporters. Like, there's something that goes into the mind of a fighter that when they start to believe. Being a fighter is about spirit, and spirit is a process of belief. It's self-talk. It's the spirit is the voice you hear in your head, the visions you see, the thoughts you have. That's the spirit, and those can be influenced. Are you influenced by higher powers or lower powers? And in terms of combat, we can influence that spirit to believe that it can't be beaten. Because the spirit, as Marcus Aurelius had written in his meditations, the spirit is like a consuming fire. Well, I don't think he said fire, but you know, that's the gist of it. It's like anything that it encounters, it consumes. And if the thing is larger than it just continues to build and build and build until it's large enough to consume. This is a spirit. This is the mind of a fighter. This is what happened in training camp when you in there hitting the heavy bag and they saying, can't nobody beat this champ. You the champ. Can't nobody beat the champ. You do more miles than everybody. You've done more rounds than everybody. They don't make them like you no more. They ain't built like you no more. They don't got champions like you no more. They don't cut them like Joe Louis. They don't cut them like Ali. They don't cut them like you, champ. They don't make them like you, champ. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all hear it. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of the best that I've heard that's recent, two of the best head guys that I've, and by head guy I mean, you know, like a mind dude, a dude who works on your head, you know. Two of the best head guys that I've seen recently is the guy after the third fight with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. There was a guy there who, Irish dude, with Tyson Fury. And what he was saying in Tyson Fury's ear after that, you can tell in camp where he had said something like, there's never been a man born of his mother. You were born of God, destined by the Lord above to rule the earth, or something like that. He was cooking, and it was like, ooh. Imagine you start believing that. Imagine you start believing that. You gonna move like that. And Bernie the Boxer with Terrence Crawford is one of the best. Shout out to Bernie the Boxer. Check out his YouTube page. Subscribe to him. But he's one of the best. One of the best. He's in the most recent, they did recent, you know, I've been watching a lot of stuff with Crawford Spence, so it's hard, I don't remember exactly from what, but it's relatively recent. I don't know if it was their 24/7 or no, it's HBO. What's Showtime? Oh, Showtime is 24/7. I don't remember, but the Showtime 24/7 or whatever they call it now, and then it might have been on their own page or whatever. I don't remember, but he was talking to Bud, and the way that he was talking to Bud is how them old school trainers talk to you. Like, one of the reasons Sylvester Stallone is in the Boxing Hall of Fame, is because he studied, he documented boxing accurately. Now, the fight scenes and some of the stuff was, of course, Hollywood and over the top and emphasized. Now, what's the word I'm looking for? It's embellished. You know what I mean? Like, just it's Hollywood telling a story. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to make it interesting for the people. You know, but some of the core stuff of what Rocky experienced needs to be studied by boxers. You know what I mean? Like, they need to because he looked at everybody in the past and made an amalgamation of all these different stories. You know what I'm saying? So, but then they start to believe it. Now, what if you start believing that people don't deserve fights with you? What if you start believing that you the A-side and you should be making more money than everybody, even though you don't got the most titles, or even though you never you haven't accomplished half of what this guy's accomplished, but since you sell more, you know what I'm saying? Like, where's the competitive spirit? This is a game. There's a show on Netflix called The Human Playground, and it breaks it down well as well. It's a lot of books and stuff on this too if you Google it, but it speaks on this. We have a desire for competitive combat. Some of us. All of us have the capacity. That's that spirit, that mind, if you just develop it. But one of the most interesting things about the human mind, about the human spirit, is that it forms its surroundings. Like Bruce Lee said, you put water in a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water in the pot, it becomes the pot. You know what I'm saying? The human spirit is the same way. The human spirit is the same way. But that's just, and we start to infect these guys' spirits, man, with this money talk and this A-side talk and this ego. Boxing is egoless. That's the humility. That's the crazy part about it, is that real fighters, real ego, real champions, real generals can't have egos. Winning has to be more important than being right. Winning has to be more important than feeling good. Winning has to be more important than comfort. Winning has to be more important than money. Winning has to be more important. And like, that has to be the most important thing in the world to you. Has to be. But what else are you doing here? You robbing the fans. You here to make money. And this is why Floyd Mayweather, I'm one of the biggest Floyd Mayweather fans in the world, or was at one point in time. And so I feel culpable. I feel culpable. I feel at fault. And that's why I'm mashing so hard, and I'm about to pick my channel up just to add 0.000000001% to the conversation, but maybe it helps the conversation. Like, Floyd ruined the sport, and I didn't see it at the time. I was blind to it. But all these guys have taken cues from Floyd. Floyd didn't take them cues until he got with Al Heyman later. Once he got when Floyd was with Top Rank, he had to fight the big fights. And then when he got and then, you know what I'm saying, when he was with HBO, he had to fight the big fight. He had to fight the fans who wanted to fight. HBO got its own problems, but I always liked the fact that HBO approached the sport from a historical journalistic perspective. Now, they might have tried to do some bullshit like shoehorn in their own people into being to the conversation, but they were still having the historical conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, they still gave you documentaries about Joe Louis. You learned about who he was, the challenges, the stuff that he go through, what made him such a great champion. You learned about Willie Pep. Half the guys even only know about Willie Pep because of Jim Lampley. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Half the people on YouTube only know about Willie Pep because Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman was calling him the best boxer of all time at the time when Floyd was being called the best boxer of all time. Now, Willie Pep is one of the best boxers of all time, bad motherfucker, and he probably would have been undefeated if he would have been the same guy you transported to today. None of these, like, he probably could be heavyweight champ. That's how weak a lot of these dudes is now. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how great he was. But that's what I'm talking about, though. Like, the historical conversations they were having was useful historical conversations. Man, these dudes is not having useful historical conversations at all. They're not talking about nothing of value, man. Like, they're just talking about, like, who's the biggest star in the sport. Showtime is trying to make money. Showtime was getting their ass kicked by HBO, and they had to take a different approach. They threw that bag. Remember that big ass bag they threw, that earth shattering bag they threw at Floyd Mayweather, and it completely changed the landscape of boxing. HBO was going to give Floyd the bag, but they wanted him to have certain, they wanted more of a partnership. Showtime was making Floyd and Al Heyman the boss. But man, just this is I might break this video up into 2 parts. If you're seeing this, you're probably seeing part 2. Because I'm like 15 minutes in, 14 minutes in, so I don't know, man. This is just something I really want to. That's why I see why y'all be going live now, because you're able to get these thoughts off in a stream, and then it automatically upload without having this decision to make. But we got to have this conversation, man. Shout out to Zone 6. YouTube channel. That's where I watch, you know, a lot of these debates. He got a great debate series going on right now. You know, I'm trying to get involved, man. I want some of that smoke. I want some of that debate smoke over there. So, like, I'll start making videos on certain topics. You know, I don't know. Are you supposed to tag people? I really don't do. You know, it's been a while since I tapped into YouTube like that. So I'm gonna start making response videos to some of this stuff to see if I can get involved and get in the mix, man. I just want to talk boxing. Like, it's not about money. It's not about, you know, growing a channel or nothing like that. Like, I just want to talk boxing. And I try to talk it on social media, but like, oh man, like, it's crazy because like when guys is typing, it's a completely different type of conversation. Now, sometimes it's cool, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but like without direct conversation, without being able to have a live, fluid, real-time conversation, sometimes things can get lost, you know, in translation. But, you know, I'm gonna end this up. And, you know, let me know what y'all think, man. I'm gonna cook on this some more, but I just feel like, you know, as fans, we got to take responsibility and we got to start putting this stuff out there. Like, and it's cyclical, man. Like, we see it, like, you can go back and trace a pattern. All right, boom.